Hello and welcome. This is part 13 of 32 of my NFL ranking series, and for this one we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers finished last year with 9 wins and a tie, and for it being Big Ben's last year, Mike Tomlin did what he always does, and he kept them above 500. I forget how many years he's been in the league, but I think he's had one of the few coaches in their careers that had a winning season every single year, and he's doing a really good job, or he's done a really good job keeping them afloat for last year, because Big Ben did struggle throughout parts here and there. And age did look like it got the best of him. But like I said, they were able to finish with 9 wins, and then they basically gave Big Ben a good way to end his career. Now looking into next year, they have, looking at this year, they have, basically it's a battle between Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky. Now, from all sounds of it, Mitchell Trubisky is going to be the starter week 1, but how long will he stay the starter? I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see what this team does going into this year based off what they've done last year. And now with the whole new, basically quarterback change for the first time in years. The Steelers finished last year with 9 wins, and they ended up losing to the Chiefs in the first round of Wild Card weekend. But, like I said, with it being Big Ben's last year and all, I think they were happy that they made the playoff team. I bet they wish they went a little farther, obviously. But for it being Ben's last year, they did a really good job of doing the best they could, and they basically made something out of nothing because, especially at least offense, they had a really good defense last year. It's been almost a Steeler staple at this point now, is them having a really good defense. But offensively, they were bottom of the league, pretty much like almost last in rushing offense. But then when it came to rushing plays, they were basically like 30th, I believe. But then when it came to like pass play percentage, they were number 2. And this was just because mainly they used a lot of bubble screens to replace the run game with Najee sometimes. And it's not saying it's his fault. It's just due to the lack, it's almost because Big Ben couldn't throw him down the field either. It's due to the lack of that, and then the lack of trust, they basically just dumped the ball off on a lot of screens and wide receiver screens and bubble screens and all that. And they basically tried to use that instead of the run. So yeah, like I said, Big Ben's gone now, so it's between Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky basically on who's going to be the quarterback. I believe the Steelers just offered Deontay Johnson a little bit, but there's potential that he could be gone because I don't know if they want to pay him. But as for right now, their receiving core is Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, George Pickens, and Miles Boykin will probably be their top 4. Looking up, they still have Najee Harris in the backfield. They have Benny Snell still. Offensively, it's basically going to come down to quarterback play again. Can they get, I'm not saying Mitch or Kenny Pickett's for sure an upgrade over Big Ben, but I would believe, based off his play last year and him looking really old last year, not as mobile either, that both these people could be a good upgrade for them offensively. When it comes to the defense, they have Larry Ogunjobi, Cameron Hayward still, T.J. Watt, Devin Bush still. They got Miles Jack now. Terrell Edmond, Minka Fitzpatrick. Their defense is still really, really, really good. And the benefit of this team is they were a 9-win team last year, and they're bringing back a lot of people. So that's going to look forward for them going into the future. And yeah, basically, just because they're bringing back a lot of the same names and everything. Between Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens, they have a really good offense there. So, they have enough pieces to where they could potentially go somewhere. It's just going to be interesting to see what they get out of the quarterback play and who's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see if Kenny Pickett is able to steal the starting job week 1 or if not. And then if he doesn't, it's going to be interesting to see who leads the team the most wins. And it's going to be interesting to see if Mitch is the starter the whole year to begin with. Now when it comes to the play next year, I think both these quarterbacks are a little bit of a step up over Big Ben, if I had to say, but I wouldn't say they're much of a step up yet. So they're a little bit younger, a little bit more athletic. They should have a little bit better arm strength, but it's going to be interesting. They don't have the years of experience in this offense, so it's going to be interesting to see where the Steelers decide to go from here. I think they aren't going to take much of a step back. I think, if anything, instead of being a 9-win team, it'd be probably like a 7-win team if I had to guess. I could probably see them beating New York. They'll probably maybe split with every team in their division this year, maybe. Even if they don't, say they do for argument, there's 4 of their 7 wins right there, and then I think they can maybe pick up another win or 2 here and there across their schedule. So, it's just going to be more of interesting to see, because their defense is going to be really good, I think, this year. So I think they're going to do a good job of keeping it close. It's just going to be more of how much pace can the offense have, and can they actually get the ball downfield this year. That's the biggest thing that held their defense back last year, is that felt like their defense was on the field a lot because they basically had to, because there would be some possessions where Steelers couldn't push the ball down the field offensively, so it was almost like defenses sat on them and basically forced Big Ben to prove they could still throw it deep, which he struggled to do with. He could still do it a little bit, but he struggled a little bit. It wasn't all there like it used to be. So due to that it made it a lot harder on the defense because it felt like they were on the field a little bit more. This year potentially should be a little bit easier if the offense can take that step forward because they have all the names to do it now. It's just going to be what can they get from the quarterback play, and is it going to be enough? So when it comes to Steelers this season, I mean, they're looking at, like I said, probably about 7 or so wins, and I mean, they have a good chance of maybe even scratching the playoffs again if they can get some really good play out of either Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with the offense because I don't know if they for sure named a starter, but everything I think is basically that's been said or I've heard has been leaning towards Mitch. So it's going to be interesting to see if Mitch Trubisky is able to lead them down a really good path, or are they going to try to see what the rookie can do towards the beginning of the season, the middle, or even the end. But basically, the other when it comes to that, it's going to be the wide receivers need to take a little bit step up now that they don't have the veteran. But it's going to be interesting to see if now Pittsburgh decides to push the ball a little bit more now they might have a more capable arm, or if they kind of still stick with like what they did last year, except now they just added a little bit more mobile quarterback. Obviously, yeah, Big Ben's been there forever, and they've basically had a cornerstone at quarterback for years and years now. So with that position changing while everything else kind of stays the same, it's going to be interesting to see which direction they take it. The fact that Mike Tomlin has been a really good winning coach and consistently wins is why I'm giving this team so much respect. I mean, even with the questions at quarterback, Mike Tomlin has, even though he has had Big Ben, he has proven that even with the injuries and everything else they sustain, he can keep the team competitive and usually get them about above 500. So I probably see them as maybe, if it's going to be any year, this might be like one of the first years where he has a negative winning record, and I could see them finishing 7-10. Would I be surprised they found a way to get like 9-8? I wouldn't be at all, honestly. But the way I see it, I think they're going to lose 2 wins basically from losing the mental leadership of Big Ben. So it's going to be basically it's just going to be interesting to see if their offense can take that next step forward without Big Ben.